Here, we don't just learn English, we feel it. In every episode, you'll listen slowly, think deeply, and practice speaking with meaning and emotion. Today's topic is something that touches every heart. What makes life meaningful? So, take a deep breath, find a quiet place, and just listen slowly, calmly, completely. Because when you listen with your heart, English becomes more than a language. It becomes a way to understand life. Imagine this. It's a quiet morning in a small apartment. The sun is still shy, hiding behind tall city buildings. Inside the room, a girl opens her eyes. Her name is Elena. She listens, the soft hum of traffic, the sound of someone walking outside, the ticking of a clock. Everything feels new and a little heavy. She has been in this city for just 1 week. A new place, a new life, a new dream. Elena came here to study English, not just grammar, not just words, but the art of storytelling. She always believed stories could change people's hearts. But now, in this big, cold city, she is not sure anymore. She sits up on the small bed. Her phone screen lights up, 7:04 a.m. Messages from home blink on her screen. Did you eat? Are you okay? She smiles, types back a short reply, yes, I'm fine. But inside, she is not fine. She feels like she is falling behind everyone else. When she hears people speaking fast English on the street, she freezes. When her teacher asks a question, her heart races. When she tries to speak, her mouth feels locked. Her dream is to become a storyteller in English. But how can she tell stories when she can't even find her words? She gets out of bed, walks to the small window, and looks out at the city. The sky is a pale gray. The air feels cold. She whispers to herself, I can do this. But even those 4 words sound strange to her ears. Her voice feels foreign, like she's pretending to be someone else. She opens her small notebook, the one she brought from her hometown. Inside, there are small notes, vocabulary lists, phrases like how to sound natural in English and speak from your heart. But reading them doesn't make her feel any closer to fluency. She sighs. Then she remembers something her teacher said on the first day. Fluency is not only about speaking fast. It's about syncing your thoughts with your words. Your language must flow with your mind, not against it. That phrase stayed with her. Sync your thoughts with your words. What does it mean to sync your thoughts? Later that morning, Elena walks to class. The city feels alive, cars honking, people rushing, coffee shops opening, someone playing guitar near the subway. She walks fast, holding her bag tight. Every face she passes seems to know exactly where they're going. Only she feels lost. When she enters the language school, she hears voices all around her: English, laughter, confidence. She finds her seat quietly at the back. The teacher, a cheerful man named Mr. Daniel, smiles at the class. Good morning, everyone. Today, we'll talk about storytelling in English. Because English isn't only for speaking, it's for expressing who you are. He looks around the room. Elena, he says suddenly, would you like to tell us a short story about yourself? Her heart stops. All eyes turn to her. Her mouth opens, but no words come out. She tries to remember something interesting. Anything. Her favorite memory, maybe? Her hometown? But her thoughts are like birds flying in every direction. She finally says, my story is about when I was... She pauses. Silence fills the room. She can feel her face turning red. Everyone waits. Mr. Daniel gently smiles. That's okay. Take your time. She forces a small smile. But inside, she feels something breaking. After class, she leaves quickly. That evening, Elena walks through the park. The lights glow softly between trees. Children are playing, people laughing. She sits on a bench, pulls out her phone, and opens a voice recording app. She decides to try again, to tell her story, just to herself. She presses record. "Hello," she begins. "My name is Elena. I come from a small town by the sea." She stops. Her voice sounds strange, too slow, too unsure. She deletes it. Then tries again. "Hi, I'm Elena. I grew up near the ocean. My favorite sound was always the waves. When I was little, I used to talk to them. I imagined they could understand me." She pauses. This time, her voice sounds softer, more natural. She keeps talking. About her parents, her small room back home, her dreams. And for the first time, her English feels alive. Not perfect, but alive. After a few minutes, she stops and listens back to the recording. She hears mistakes, grammar, pronunciation, everything. But she also hears something else. A part of her heart speaking. She smiles, a small, real smile. That night, she can't sleep. Her mind keeps replaying her own voice, the sound of her trying. It's not beautiful. It's not fluent. But it's hers. She sits up in bed and writes in her notebook, "I will not chase English. I will connect with it." Then she writes a question underneath, "How do I sync my voice and my soul?" The next morning, it rains. The sound of water against the window fills the small apartment. Elena makes tea and sits by the window. Something feels different today. She opens her notebook again and writes a small story, just a few lines in English. Once there was a girl who couldn't speak. She had 1,000 thoughts in her heart, but her mouth was full of silence. One day, she realized that silence was also a kind of story. She looks at her words. Simple, broken, but full of something real. She whispers them aloud, slowly, like a storyteller. And something clicks inside her. Maybe fluency isn't about speaking perfectly. Maybe it's about speaking truthfully. She picks up her phone again and records once more, this time, reading her own story. Her voice trembles, but she keeps going. Once there was a girl who couldn't speak. And for the first time, she doesn't delete the recording. That afternoon, she goes to class again. Mr. Daniel begins with a question. What makes a story powerful? Students give different answers. Emotion. Structure. Good vocabulary. He nods, then says, "Those are good. But there's something more. A story becomes powerful when it's alive. When the person telling it truly feels it." Elena listens closely. He continues, "Sometimes you must stop learning English with your brain and start speaking it with your heart." Something moves inside her. That's it. That's what she felt last night. She picks up her phone again and records once more, this time, reading her own story. Her voice trembles, but she keeps going. Once there was a girl who couldn't speak. And for the first time, she doesn't delete the recording. That afternoon, she goes to class again. Mr. Daniel begins with a question. What makes a story powerful? Students give different answers. Emotion. Structure. Good vocabulary. He nods, then says, "Those are good. But there's something more. A story becomes powerful when it's alive. When the person telling it truly feels it." Elena listens closely. He continues, "Sometimes you must stop learning English with your brain and start speaking it with your heart." Something moves inside her. That's it. That's what she felt last night. Mr. Daniel smiles again. "Now, I want you to record your own short story tonight. Not for grades. Not for perfection. Just for connection. Sync your thoughts, your words, and your emotions." Elena writes the words in her notebook. Sync thoughts, words, emotions. And beside it, she draws a small wave, like the sea from her hometown. When she walks home that evening, the city doesn't feel so big anymore. The buildings still stand tall, the streets still noisy, but she walks with lighter steps. Because now she knows, she doesn't have to speak perfect English. She just has to speak her truth. She looks up at the sky. It's golden now. The rain has stopped, and the clouds are opening. And she whispers softly, "Every word is a wave, carrying a piece of me." As she walks, she smiles because maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of her deep self-sync. The morning sun glows over the city again. But today, something feels different. Elena wakes up early, before her alarm. She stretches, looks out of the window, and smiles faintly. The city is already alive, people walking fast, buses moving, birds flying between wires. It's noisy. It's messy. But somehow, it feels alive in a way that matches her heart today. She opens her notebook again, the one with her small story inside. The words still make her smile. For the first time, English doesn't look like a wall of strange letters. It looks like a place she can walk through, slowly, step by step. Elena decides to take a different route to school. Instead of the subway, she walks through the old streets near the market. There, English lives everywhere, not in books, but in people. A shopkeeper greets her, "Good morning, miss. Coffee?" She nods shyly, "Yes, please. Just one." The man smiles, "You new here?" She hesitates, then replies, "Yes. I just moved here last week." He grins, "Welcome to the neighborhood. You'll like it here. Everyone talks too much, so you'll learn fast." They both laugh. Just a short, warm laugh, but it feels powerful. In that moment, Elena realizes something. She just had a full English conversation. Not perfect, not long, but real. She takes her coffee, thanks him, and keeps walking. The sound of people talking fills her ears, different accents, different tones, all forming a rhythm. It's not noise anymore. It's music. The music of words. She starts listening more carefully. A child asking his mother, "Can we go now?" A woman on her phone saying, "I'll be there in 5. Two men laughing about a joke she doesn't understand. Every sound feels like a small piece of a puzzle called English life. At school, the classroom is brighter today. Mr. Daniel has written something new on the board. Listen before you speak. He turns to the students. Many people try to speak English without listening deeply first. But every good speaker is also a good listener. You must hear the rhythm of the language before you can dance with it. He asks the class to close their eyes. "Now," he says, "I'll play you a sound." It's the sound of people talking in the city. Don't try to understand the words. Just listen to the rhythm. The room fills with recordings, market noise, footsteps, laughter, voices blending together. Elena listens. At first, it's confusing, too many sounds. But then she starts to hear patterns. Rising tones, falling tones, pauses, laughter, like a heartbeat made of words. Mr. Daniel says softly, "That rhythm you hear, that's English breathing. You don't need to understand it yet. You just need to feel it." Elena keeps her eyes closed. And for a moment, she's not afraid anymore. The sound feels warm, like waves returning to shore. After class, Elena walks out. The sky is cloudy again. The first drops of rain start to fall. She doesn't run for cover this time. She lets the rain touch her hands. As she walks, she whispers softly to herself, repeating words she heard today. Listen before you speak. Rhythm. Dance with it. She begins to speak small sentences to herself, matching the beat of her footsteps. I am walking through the city of words. I am listening to the rhythm of life. I am not afraid to make mistakes. Her voice blends with the sound of the city, the cars, the rain, the people. For the first time, she feels like she belongs. Later, she stops at a cafe near the corner. It's small, quiet, filled with books and music. She orders tea and sits by the window. At the next table, two people are talking in English. Their conversation is soft and natural. She listens not to study, but to feel. Life's funny, isn't it? Says one woman. Yeah, the other laughs. You plan everything, and then it all changes. Their voices rise and fall like melody lines. Elena finds herself smiling, not because she understands every word, but because she understands the feeling. She takes out her notebook again. She writes, English is not only words. It's people. It's voices. It's life. Then she writes another line. Maybe I don't need to chase English. Maybe I can walk with it. She underlines it twice. She feels calm, deeply calm. Suddenly, someone sits at the table beside her, a young man about her age, with headphones around his neck and a laptop open. He smiles and says, Sorry, is this seat taken? She shakes her head. No, you can sit. He nods politely and begins typing. After a while, he glances at her notebook and says, Are you writing in English? She hesitates. Yes, I'm trying to practice. He smiles. That's cool. I'm writing stories too. In English. It's not my first language either. Her eyes widen. Really? He nods. Yeah. I'm from Brazil. I used to be terrified to speak. But then I realized English isn't a mountain you climb. It's a river. You just have to flow with it. She stares at him, surprised. A river. That's exactly how she feels. Waves, rhythm, movement. He continues, I record small stories every day. Just my thoughts. Even if they're not perfect. Over time, I started feeling like I was part of the language, not fighting against it. Elena smiles softly. I do that too. I record my stories. He laughs, then we're both dreamers. For a moment, they sit in silence, not awkward silence, but peaceful. Two strangers, connected by words that aren't even theirs. Yet somehow, they understand each other perfectly. When Elena leaves the cafe, the sky is dark but beautiful, lights twinkle across tall buildings, the air smells of rain and coffee. She feels something glowing inside her, not confidence yet, but something close. As she walks home, she repeats quietly to herself, a river, a rhythm, a life. And suddenly, she remembers her teacher's voice again. Sync your thoughts with your words. Now it makes more sense. It's not only about pronunciation or grammar. It's about feeling connected, like the city and her voice are speaking together. That night, Elena records again. She sits by the window, city lights behind her, phone in her hand. She whispers, Today I listened more than I spoke. And I learned something. English is not only a language. It's a living thing. It breathes through people, through sounds, through laughter. She pauses, then adds, and maybe, if I keep listening one day, it will breathe through me too. She ends the recording and closes her eyes. Her heart feels peaceful. The city outside hums softly, like it's whispering back, Yes, Elena. Keep flowing. The city of words doesn't feel foreign anymore. It feels alive, full of rhythm, full of stories, full of voices waiting to be heard. And in that living world of sound and meaning, Elena has just taken her second step, not toward perfect English, but toward her own deep self-sync. The next week begins with soft rain. Elena sits by her window, watching droplets slide down the glass. She feels calm, but also nervous. At school today, something big is happening. Mr. Daniel has announced a storytelling showcase. Each student must tell a short story, in English, in front of everyone. For some, it's exciting. For Elena, it feels terrifying. She looks at her reflection in the window. Can I really do this? She whispers. Her reflection doesn't answer. Only the rain does, tapping gently, like a quiet rhythm saying, Try anyway. Inside the classroom, the energy is bright. Students are laughing, practicing lines, recording small audio clips. Elena sits at her desk, notebook open, pen shaking in her hand. Mr. Daniel claps once. All right, storytellers. This isn't a test. It's a celebration. You'll share something personal, a story from your life. Remember, it's not about perfect English. It's about honest English. Honest English. The words echo in Elena's mind. She breathes in slowly. When her turn comes, she will speak from her heart, even if her grammar trembles. That afternoon, Elena hides in the small library near her school. It's quiet there, old books, wooden tables, a warm yellow lamp. She writes her story slowly. She writes about the sea, about the girl who used to talk to the waves, about how silence used to feel heavy, and about how she's learning to let her words flow again. But every few sentences, she stops and erases. Her thoughts flow fast, but her English doesn't follow. Sometimes she knows the feeling, but not the right word. Sometimes she knows the word, but not how to make it feel alive. She whispers to herself, how do native speakers make it sound so easy? Elena. She turns, it's Mr. Daniel, standing by the bookshelf, smiling. I thought I'd find you here. She smiles shyly, hi. I'm trying to prepare. He nods. I know. But don't try too hard. The story doesn't need to be perfect. I know, but she hesitates. When I speak, I feel like my English is too small. He sits beside her and says softly, Elena, let me tell you something. Every language is like a window. When you open it, you don't need to show everything perfectly. You just need to let the light in. She listens carefully. The light, she repeats. Yes, he says. The feeling, the honesty, the truth behind your words, that's the light. People don't remember your mistakes. They remember your emotion. He smiles. So let your English be honest, not perfect. Elena looks down at her notebook. Her heart feels lighter. She whispers, honest, not perfect. That night, Elena practices in her small room. She stands in front of the mirror, holding her phone like a microphone. She takes a deep breath. Once there was a girl who couldn't speak. Her voice is soft, trembling. She pauses, then tries again. Once there was a girl who wanted to tell stories, but she was afraid of her own voice. She stops again, laughs nervously. Then, remembering her teacher's words, she says aloud, no. I won't hide my voice. She presses record again. This time, she closes her eyes as she speaks, letting her emotions lead the way. Once, there was a girl who used to talk to the sea. She told the waves all her secrets. But when she moved to a new world, she forgot how to speak. One day, she realized the sea was still inside her, waiting for her to listen again. Her words flow, slow and clear. She feels tears rise, not sadness, but release. When she stops, she listens to the recording. Her accent is strong. Her grammar is not perfect. But her voice is alive. She smiles, whispering, this is my story. The day of the showcase arrives. The classroom is decorated with colorful paper stars. A sign says, Storytelling Day, speak from your heart. Elena sits in the front row, her hands cold. One by one, students go to the front. They speak about funny travel stories, childhood memories, dreams, failures. Some make people laugh. Some make people cry. Then, Mr. Daniel calls, Elena, you're next. Her stomach tightens. Her heart beats too fast. But she walks to the front anyway. She stands there, the lights bright, everyone watching. For a second, her mind goes blank. She hears her heartbeat. She hears the quiet city outside. Then she remembers honest, not perfect. She takes a breath and begins. Once there was a girl who couldn't speak. She had 1,000 stories inside her, but her words were hiding. She wanted to speak in English, but every time she tried, her voice shook. She pauses. The room is silent. Her voice grows steadier. Then one day, she realized something. Her fear wasn't about English. It was about being heard. She wanted to sound perfect, but she forgot that her truth was already enough. Her words fall slowly, one by one, like drops of rain. She can see her teacher smiling. She can see the students listening carefully, not to judge, but to feel. Now, she says softly, that girl is learning to speak again. Her English is not perfect, but her heart is open. And maybe that's where real language begins. She finishes. For a few seconds, silence fills the air. Then, applause, soft at first, then stronger. Not because she spoke perfectly, but because she spoke truly. Elena exhales deeply, smiling half in disbelief, half in joy. Mr. Daniel steps forward. He doesn't say much, only this, "Elena, that was honest." "Thank you." She nods, her eyes bright. And in that simple moment, something changes inside her. Not her vocabulary, not her pronunciation, but herself. That night, she walks home again through the city. The streets shimmer after rain. Reflections dance on the wet pavement. She whispers softly, "Honest, not perfect. Honest, not perfect." The phrase feels like a small key turning in her chest. Each time she repeats it, she feels more free. She passes the same cafe as before. Through the window, she sees the same boy, the one from Brazil, writing again. He waves. She waves back. No words needed. Just connection. The world feels smaller now. Not because it changed, but because she did. Elena opens her notebook. On a blank page, she writes slowly. Today, I spoke in front of everyone. My English was not perfect, but it was honest. And honesty made me feel free. She closes the notebook and looks out the window. The city glows softly, yellow lights like stars scattered below the sky. She whispers, "I'm not chasing perfection anymore. I'm chasing connection." She smiles. Because for the first time since she arrived, she feels like she belongs here in this city of words, in this world of stories, and inside her own voice. Every learner has a moment like this, a moment of struggle that turns into truth. When fear turns into courage. When silence turns into voice. Elena doesn't know it yet, but this was the day she stopped learning English and started living it. It is Friday night. The city glows under soft rain. People hurry home. Laughter floats from restaurants. The air smells of bread and coffee. Elena walks slowly, her umbrella tapping with each step. She feels lighter than before, not confident yet, but peaceful. In her bag is a small note from Mr. Daniel. "Keep telling stories, Elena." Even when nobody listens. She smiles every time she reads it. Because she knows now the story doesn't need an audience to be real. She stops near a small park. It's quiet there, only a few lights shining through the mist. She sits on a bench, takes out her phone, and begins to record again. It's Friday night, she whispers, and the city feels like a dream. Everyone is rushing somewhere, but I'm just sitting here, listening. She closes her eyes, recording the sound of the rain. And that's when she hears a voice beside her. Beautiful sound, isn't it? She opens her eyes. An old man is sitting at the other end of the bench, wearing a long brown coat and a hat. He looks kind, his eyes gentle, his hands holding a small notebook. "Yes," Elena says softly. "I like the rain." He nods. "So do I. It tells stories that the sun never tells." Elena tilts her head. "Stories." He smiles. "Yes. Every raindrop carries a memory. Every sound has meaning if you listen long enough." His voice is calm, slow, full of music. Something about it feels familiar, like the rhythm her teacher talked about. She asks, "Do you write stories too?" He chuckles. "Not anymore. I used to. Now I just collect them." "Collect them?" "Yes," he says. "From people like you." She laughs softly. "Me? I don't have stories worth collecting." He looks at her for a moment, then says, "Everyone does. Especially those who think they don't." They sit quietly for a while. Then the man opens his notebook. It's full of short notes, phrases, sketches. He points to a line written in careful handwriting. "A story is a mirror. When you tell it, you see yourself clearly for the first time." Elena reads it aloud, slowly, tasting each word. Her English feels steady, like it belongs to her. He nods. "You have a nice way of speaking. Not too fast, not too heavy. Like you're listening to your own voice." She blushes a little. "I'm still learning. Sometimes my English feels not enough." The man smiles gently. But enough for what? To impress others? Or to express yourself?" She hesitates. "I guess, both." He shakes his head. "Then let me tell you something. When you speak to impress, your words wear masks. When you speak to express, your words breathe." Elena stays silent. The sentence lands deep inside her. He continues, "I once met a girl who wanted to write in English perfectly. She studied hard, grammar, idioms, pronunciation. But when she spoke, her words had no life. Because she forgot that language is not a cage. It's a bird." "A bird?" "Yes," he says softly. "If you hold it too tightly, it dies. If you let it fly, it sings." They both laugh quietly. Elena asks, "How did you learn English?" He leans back. "I didn't. I lived it. When I was young, I traveled from city to city, listening to people, repeating their words, copying their emotions, not their grammar." He smiles. "I learned English through ears, not books." Elena nods slowly. She remembers Mr. Daniel saying something similar. "Listen before you speak." The man looks at her. "You remind me of myself, you know. You listen deeply. That's rare." She feels warmth in her chest. "Thank you," she says. He asks suddenly, "Would you like to hear one of my stories?" "Yes," Elena replies quickly, excited. He clears his throat and begins softly. "Once, there was a traveler who wanted to learn every language in the world. He believed that if he could speak all tongues, he could understand all hearts. So he studied and studied and studied, but the more he learned, the lonelier he became. Because words came easy, but silence spoke louder." Elena listens, frozen by the beauty of the story. One day, the man continues, he met a child who didn't know any language at all. The child smiled, offered him a flower, and walked away. And in that moment, the traveler understood every language on earth, without a single word. He stops. The rain has stopped too. Only the quiet heartbeat of the city remains. "That's beautiful," Elena whispers. He nods slowly. Because sometimes, the deepest stories are the ones without words. They leave the park together, walking toward the main street. The man walks slowly, humming something under his breath, a tune that sounds like an old folk song. Elena says, "I like your story. It's simple, but it makes me feel something." "That's the secret," he says. "Simplicity is not weakness. It's honesty." She nods. Then asks, "Do you ever get nervous when you tell stories?" He smiles. "Always. But nervousness means you care. You see, fear is not the enemy of storytelling, indifference is." She repeats the line softly, "Fear is not the enemy, indifference is." He looks at her kindly. "Exactly. When your heart beats faster before you speak, that's life reminding you that your words matter." The water below reflects the lights of the city, gold, silver, and red dancing on the surface. The man stops and says, "Look at the water. Do you see how it moves?" She nods. "It keeps flowing." "Yes, just like language. It doesn't stop. It doesn't fight itself. It just moves." He takes a small stone and throws it into the water. Ripples spread wide, glowing under the light. "Every word you speak," he says, "is like that stone. Small, maybe, but it creates ripples you cannot see. Elena feels her throat tighten. The idea touches something deep inside her. After a moment, she asks, "Will I ever speak English like a native speaker?" He chuckles gently. "Why would you want that?" She blinks, surprised. "Well, because it sounds beautiful." He nods slowly. "Yes, but your accent, your voice, that's your story. It carries where you came from, who you are, how far you've traveled. Don't erase it. Embrace it." He looks at her with a kind seriousness. People don't need another native speaker. They need your sound, the sound of courage. They stand together for a few minutes, watching the river flow. The wind moves gently between them, carrying the smell of rain. Finally, she says, "Thank you for talking with me." He smiles, tipping his hat. "You didn't need my story. You already have your own. Just promise me something." "What?" "Keep listening. To people, to yourself, and to silence." Then he turns and starts walking away, slowly, calmly, disappearing into the misty street. Elena watches until he's gone. The rain starts again, light as breath. She whispers to herself, "Listen. To people, to myself, to silence." She takes out her phone and records once more. "Tonight, I met a stranger who told me that words are like water. They move, they flow, they find their way. And maybe I'm learning to flow too." As she walks home, her steps match the rhythm of the rain. The city feels softer now, every sound full of meaning. She smiles to herself, repeating quietly, "Language is a river, not a cage." For the first time, she understands what deep self-sync truly means. It's not about controlling English. It's about trusting it, letting it flow through her, carrying her stories wherever they need to go. It's Saturday morning. The world outside is still. Sunlight touches the curtains in soft lines of gold. Elena wakes slowly. Her mind feels calm, but something lingers inside her, a question that keeps returning since last night. Who am I when I speak English? She sits on the edge of her bed, whispering it again. It sounds strange, not because of the words, but because of the silence that follows them. She walks to the mirror. It stands by the window, the same mirror she uses every day. But today, she doesn't look at her clothes or her hair. She looks into her own eyes. And she begins to speak softly. "Good morning, Elena." The sound feels awkward. Her voice trembles a little. She tries again. "Good morning. My name is Elena." She listens carefully to her own pronunciation, to the rhythm, the pauses, the way her lips move. Her English sounds clear, but distant, like a version of herself she hasn't met yet. She remembers what the old man said last night. "Your accent is your story. Don't erase it. Embrace it." So she tries again, but this time slower. Not perfect, not careful, just honest. "Good morning. My name is Elena, and I am learning." Her voice shakes a little, but it feels real. For the first time, she doesn't hide from it. She keeps talking to the mirror. Not like a student practicing, but like a person trying to meet herself. "I live in this city now. Sometimes I feel strong. Sometimes I feel lost. But I'm here. I'm trying. And I will keep trying." Her reflection listens, patient, kind, understanding. After a while, she starts laughing. "I must look crazy," she says to the mirror. But deep inside, she feels lighter. She walks to her desk, opens her notebook, and writes. "Talking to myself in English is not strange. It is like talking to my future." The words surprise her. She underlines them. Because that's what deep self-sync really means, not just listening to others, but learning to hear yourself. Later that day, Elena goes to her favorite cafe. She brings her laptop, a cup of coffee, and a dream that still scares her, to start a small online storytelling channel in English. She hesitates for a long time, staring at the blank screen. She doesn't even know where to begin. What if my English isn't good enough, she whispers. What if people laugh? Then she remembers the stranger's voice. Fear is not the enemy. Indifference is. She takes a deep breath, opens a new file, and types the title, The Girl Who Listened to Silence. Her fingers move slowly at first, but soon her heart begins to lead. She writes about her arrival in the city, her struggles with language, her moments of loneliness, and that night in the park when she met the old man. Each sentence feels like a small release, like she's letting go of fear, one word at a time. Hours go by. The cafe empties. The light outside turns orange, then blue. When she finally stops, she has written 3 full pages. Not perfect English, not polished, but full of emotion. She reads it aloud in a whisper. And for the first time, she likes how her English sounds. She realizes something important. Fluency isn't when you speak fast. Fluency is when your heart and your words move together. She repeats the line softly, smiling. Fluency is when your heart and your words move together. She packs her bag and walks home through the quiet streets. Rain dots the sidewalk, making tiny silver circles. The city hums like a living poem. When she reaches her apartment, she feels the weight of the day, but it's a good kind of weight, like a step closer to something real. She sits by the window, opens her phone, and checks her voice recordings. Her first one shy, uncertain from weeks ago. Then her latest one soft, confident, full of rhythm. The difference is clear. She presses play on the old recording. Her past voice says, I want to speak English. But it's hard. Then she listens to her most recent one. Language is a river, not a cage. The sound makes her eyes fill with tears. Not sadness, gratitude. Because she can hear her growth. She whispers, I'm not the same girl anymore. The rain outside grows stronger, and she feels something powerful rising inside her, a sense of connection. She looks again into the mirror, now faintly fogged by evening light. Her reflection smiles back. This time, it's not just her image, it's her story. This is me, she says. Not perfect, but real. She places her hand on the mirror. It's cold, but she feels warmth inside. Because for the first time, she's not trying to sound like someone else. She's simply being. That night, she dreams she is walking by the same river from last night. The old man is there again, standing under a streetlight. He doesn't speak, he only smiles. Elena walks to him and says, I understand now. The language isn't in my mouth. It's in my heart. He nods. And the whole city lights up, every window, every street, every drop of water glowing with color. She wakes up, breathing deeply, her heart full of calm energy. Sunday morning. Elena opens her laptop again. This time, she uploads her story, The Girl Who Listened to Silence, and presses publish. For a few seconds, she freezes. Her heart beats fast. She's scared. But then she remembers. When your heart beats faster before you speak, it means your words matter. So she lets it beat. She lets it remind her she's alive. She closes her eyes and whispers, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm speaking. Later that day, she receives her first comment. It's from a stranger on the internet. It says, Your story helped me. I thought I was alone. Elena stares at the words for a long time. Her heart fills with something warm and quiet connection. She whispers to herself. And that's what stories are for. Then she presses record once more. If you are listening to this right now, remember, your English doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be yours. Speak slowly. Speak honestly. And listen deeply. That's how you find your voice. The morning after her story went live, Elena wakes up to the sound of notifications. Her phone is glowing. For a second, she's afraid to look. She takes a deep breath and opens the screen. 20 comments. A few likes. One new subscriber. It's not a big number, but to her, it feels like the whole world just whispered, "We hear you." She reads each comment slowly, her eyes wide. "Thank you, your story feels like my life. I listen every morning before work. Please make more stories. Your voice is calm." She covers her mouth, smiling through tears. Her English, the same English she once doubted, has touched hearts. It's not perfect. It's not fast. But it's real. That afternoon, she sits again by her window with her notebook. She writes a new title, The Voice Within. She begins to speak aloud, recording herself. "We all have two voices," she says softly. "The voice we show to the world, and the one we hide inside. The first tries to be perfect. The second just wants to be heard." She pauses, thinking carefully before continuing. "When I started learning English, I thought fluency meant never making mistakes. But now I know, fluency means being brave enough to speak even when your voice shakes." She stops recording. Listens. Her voice sounds steady, filled with warmth. It feels like the person she always wanted to be is finally speaking through her. A week passes. Elena keeps recording small stories. She uploads them every few days, stories about city life, friendship, fear, hope. Each one told in slow, clear English, the kind of English that breathes. Her channel grows, slowly but beautifully. 10 followers. Then 20. Each new listener feels like a small miracle. But something else begins to happen. People start writing to her, not just comments, but messages. They tell her about their lives, their struggles with English, their dreams. One message catches her heart. "Hi Elena, I'm from Brazil. I used to be afraid to speak English. But when I hear your stories, I feel calm. You speak slowly, but your words go deep. Thank you." She reads it again and again. Then she whispers, This is why I started." Days turn into weeks. Elena starts to notice changes in herself. When she speaks English now in shops, in cafes, even with strangers, she no longer hides. Her voice carries a quiet confidence. One evening, she walks to the river again, the same bridge where she met the old man. The water glows silver under the moonlight. She leans on the railing, recording another voice note. "Sometimes I wonder if the man I met was even real," she says with a small laugh. "But maybe it doesn't matter. Because what he told me became my truth." She pauses. "He said, language is a river. And now I feel it in every story I tell, in every breath I take. English isn't something I study anymore. It's something I live." As she speaks, a memory flashes, the classroom where she first struggled to say hello, the tears after her first failed interview, the silence in her small apartment when words wouldn't come. All of it, the pain, the fear, the loneliness, they weren't signs of failure. They were part of her becoming. She realizes, you don't learn English only from words. You learn it from every feeling you survive. She repeats that softly, letting it echo with the sound of the river. You learn from every feeling you survive. When she reaches her building, she finds a letter in her mailbox. It's from her old English teacher, Mr. Daniel. She hadn't heard from him in months. The envelope is simple, handwritten. Inside, there's just one line. "Elena, I found your podcast. You sound like yourself now. Proud of you, D." She sits on the stairs, holding the letter close to her chest. Tears fill her eyes again, not of sadness, but peace. Because that's what she had always wanted, not to sound like a native speaker, but to sound like Elena. That night, she records a special episode. Her voice is warm, soft, and sure. To everyone listening, she says, don't be afraid of your voice. Don't hide your accent. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Start where you are. Because every voice, including yours, has a story worth hearing. She ends the recording with a small laugh. If I can do it, so can you. After uploading, she turns off the light and sits in the dark for a while. Her apartment feels alive, filled with echoes of her recordings, like her own words are keeping her company. She thinks of all the people listening somewhere, students in small rooms, travelers in buses, workers on morning trains, all connected by the same rhythm of English, the same wish to be understood. And for the first time, Elena feels that she belongs not to a place, but to a sound. The sound of language alive inside her. As she lies down to sleep, she whispers one last line into the darkness. The voice within me is not afraid anymore. She smiles. Because now, her English isn't just something she's learning, it's the way her soul breathes. It's early morning. The world is quiet, just the sound of light touching the window and the rhythm of Elena's breathing. She wakes up slowly, feeling calm, not heavy, not tired. There's something different today. A stillness. A peace that feels new. She goes to her desk and opens her notebook. On the first page, she sees all the old sentences she wrote months ago. Crooked handwriting. Simple grammar. But full of emotion. She smiles. She remembers how she used to force herself to write perfectly, and how that pressure made her forget the joy of expression. Now, she writes differently. Not for perfection. For connection. She begins her morning ritual. She opens her recording app and speaks. Good morning, world. Today, I want to talk about something I didn't understand before: silence. Her voice is slow, confident, and clear. When I first started learning English, silence felt like failure. I thought if I paused, people would think I didn't know enough. But now, silence feels like space. It gives my words room to breathe. She pauses, smiling at her own sentence. Fluency, she says softly, is not how fast you speak. It's how calmly you connect. She listens to the recording. The rhythm, the tone, it all feels natural. She can hear her own confidence, not loud, but alive. That's the deep sync, when the language in your head and the voice in your heart start to move together. Later that day, Elena takes her microphone to the riverside. The water sparkles in sunlight. Children laugh nearby. The same bridge, the same air, but a new version of herself standing there. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply. This is where I met him, she says softly into the microphone. The stranger who told me that language is a river. She turns toward the sound of the water. At that time, I didn't understand what he meant. I was trying so hard to control every word. But now I see English, like this river, doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone who listens. Her voice trembles slightly, not from fear, but from feeling. When I speak now, I don't think about grammar or accent. I think about meaning. I think about emotion. I think about you, the listener. She walks slowly along the path, describing what she sees, letting words come freely. There's a little boy chasing pigeons by the water. His laughter fills the air like music. A woman nearby is reading a book. Her lips move quietly with every word. An old man sits alone, feeding the birds. Maybe he's telling them stories. Her sentences flow naturally, simple but vivid. Every image, every word connected by emotion. She isn't translating her thoughts anymore. She's living them in English. That is the moment, the true deep self-sync. She sits on a bench and presses stop on her recorder. The file saves with a small sound click. She listens to it again. Her own voice comes back through the headphones, warm, confident, peaceful. She closes her eyes and feels her heartbeat syncing with her rhythm of speech. Each breath flows with her words. Each pause feels alive. And suddenly, she begins to cry quietly, freely. Not from sadness, but from release. Because now, she finally understands something she'd been chasing all along. English isn't something she has to master. It's something she can merge with. She remembers the night in the park, the man's voice saying, "When you speak to express, your words breathe." And she whispers now, "My words are breathing." She laughs through her tears. Her heart feels open, no walls, no fear. She looks up at the sky, the same city sky that once made her feel so small, and says softly, "I used to think fluency meant perfection. Now I know it means peace." That night, Elena receives a message from one of her listeners. It's from a young woman in Japan. "Hi, Elena. I listen to your podcast every night before I sleep. I don't understand every word, but your voice makes me feel brave. I started recording my own English diary because of you." Elena smiles, her heart full. She writes back, "I'm proud of you. Keep listening. Keep speaking. One day, you'll feel your own deep sync too." She presses send and closes her laptop. Then she whispers to herself. And that's how language travels, from one brave heart to another. The sound of rain fills her apartment, just like in her first recording months ago. But tonight, it doesn't sound lonely. It sounds alive. She picks up her phone, starts recording one last time for the day. "When I speak now, I don't hear mistakes anymore. I hear progress. I hear rhythm. I hear me." Her eyes close, and she listens to the rain like it's a symphony. Every drop, a word. Every sound, a story. As she lies in bed, her thoughts begin to flow naturally in English, not forced, not rehearsed. They simply arrive, soft as whispers. "I'm thankful for the people I met, for the words I spoke, for the silence I finally understood." And just before sleep takes her, she smiles because she knows this is only the beginning. The deep sync isn't a final stage. It's a way of being, a balance between thought and feeling, between learning and living, between English and the soul that speaks it. When language and life move together, every word feels like home. The rain outside fades into a soft hush. The music ends on a gentle note of stillness. And in that stillness, we feel it, the quiet harmony of a learner who has become a storyteller.